Great. So, welcome to Maximizing Your GTFS Data, a virtual workshop creating GTFS shapes. And as Marcy mentioned, we're really excited that you're taking the time out of your day to join this virtual workshop, and we're here to support you, and we love to answer questions you might have and really help you support you through this creating shapes process. So today, just quickly go over the agenda. A couple slides about who National RTAP is. And we'll introduce, I don't think Marcy needs an introduction, but we'll introduce myself. And then Marcy's going to give an overview of GTFS Builder and what are shapes. And then we're going to offer the first 45 minutes, and you're welcome to join along. We're going to offer a hands-on demonstration. And we scheduled this for an hour or hour and a half, excuse me. So that second half an hour or 45 minutes, whatever, however many questions we have, we'll stay online, and we're here to kind of work with you one-on-one or in a small group at that point as well. And you'll have the opportunity to really practice the creating shapes. So my name is Al Benedict. I'm with National RTAP. I'm the technology tools lead. So I work with Marcy closely on the GTFS Builder and GTFS technical support that she provides, really working with one-on-one, with agencies, small rural and tribal agencies across the country. So helping develop quality GTFS data feeds. And so it's great that you could all participate in this webinar workshop. Next slide. So National RTAP, we're funded through the FTA under the Section 5311 program. We really are aimed at providing free training materials and technical assistance to rural and tribal trans providers and state RTAP programs throughout the country. We have a review board that's made up of state DOT and rural and tribal agency staff, and we work closely with them, and they really help us shape and guide our work, and really try to further understand the needs of rural and tribal agencies on the ground. Here's a picture, a screenshot of our website and the URL, nationalrtap.org. If you have any questions, there's all the free resources are there, and actually, next slide. We'll go over a few of those. So, we have resources from trainings. We offer manuals, videos, slides. We have e-learning resources that are really geared toward frontline management staff. We have information from best practices to toolkits, articles. And our newsletter in there as well. Kara, our team, does just a great job tracking the rural and tribal news, throughout the country with our newsletter. So if you're not subscribed to that yet, I encourage you to reach out and we can sign you up. And the technology tools, that's where I'm really focused. So we have a range of free technology tools from Procurement Pro, which is really aimed at helping you guide you through the federal clauses when you're procuring new services or technology. We have a cost allocation calculator, which offers the operational costs for very different services, from demand response to fixed route to ferry, to really help you try to understand the operational costs behind those services. Website Builder, it's a free resource if you don't have a website. We have a platform that does a great job helping you design and build the website from the ground. RideSheet is our newest tool that we've been supporting. It's a scheduling and reporting platform for really geared towards small transit operations, 10 or fewer demand response vehicles. But there's lots of great resources on our site about the RideSheet scheduling platform, and GTFS, of course, GTFS Builder and the support that we do, working with agencies across the country. Peer networking, training, webinars, conferences, roundtables, online forums, and also just, technical assistance. We're here. If you have any questions, pick up the phone and call. We're always excited to talk to you and really learn what your needs are on the ground, so we can continually better tailor our resources to really support rural and tribal agencies. Next slide, please. Oh, so today, I mentioned this early on, but people might have been trickling in. Today, we purposely used the meeting format because we want to try to make this as interactive as possible. If you have questions, please use the chat. I'll be trying to answer the questions during the workshop, and if I can't, we'll kind of save them. But if you have any questions and you'd like to ask it to, you can raise your hand and even turn your camera on and ask it. So again, we really want to try to make this as engaging and interactive as possible. And we to kind of before we kick things off, we have another Menti, another survey that was that the one we just did, Marcy? Or is
No,
that
no,
okay.
ready for the next one.
Oh yeah. So here's the other survey. If you would take a minute, the code is at the top, and you can go to menti.com, or if you in the beginning you could scan the QR code if you did that already. Enter in the code, and you'll see the question. My role in keeping GTFS static data up to date. And it looks like a lot of people are using GTFS Builder. That's great.
Well, that's 3.
3 people, 5 people now. They're coming in. That's great. The dots are pouring in.
The dots are rolling. Okay.
So well, with that, I'll turn it over to Marcy, and I will be kind of managing the chat in the back end.
Thank you, Al. Today's training really does build on GTFS Builder. So if you are using a software vendor, which was one of the other options here, we encourage you to work with them. They will manage your GTFS data and make sure that the shapes are in order. So they'll get you to the goal. We appreciate that those of you who are ready to dial up your GTFS will gain your skills and shapes. We thought might be a few people coming to this GTFS that were in the category of, I've just joined a transit agency. What is a GTFS? And so what we're doing is taking this printed online schedule. This is Ladysmith, Wisconsin. So thank you, Shonda, for letting us showcase your work. We're going to turn it into a series of text files. We do that in that Excel spreadsheet. And when we're ready, we publish it. So this is not the same data, but it is in Wisconsin and it's in Menominee, and a writer can now plan a trip from here to there using this transformed version of data. I'm pretty sure everyone who's here is more than 15 minutes on GTFS, but we'll answer that in a different thread if you're really not following me. What is GTFS? The next piece of the puzzle that we don't always showcase, but we like to remind ourselves that once we have integrated data, we can go to a Google Map, Apple Map, click on a bus stop, and now this was a Sunday evening when I captured this. There were still a couple of evening trips available. Then the bus was going to start the next morning with different colors, leaving from here at what times. Without GTFS, that rider is going to go to the library, ask the librarian, do you know when the Verde shuttle goes? When is it green? When is it blue? Where is it going? And we think it's more efficient. And we know that riders really appreciate real information that they can get through GTFS. We do want to assure you that GTFS Builder is not your only tool. We have on our website a series of data managers, or a listing of data managers. This is not the only list. If anyone needs to be listed, we're agnostic. We're just saying there are other options if this gets beyond your willingness to manage it in-house. For GTFS Builder, a little reminder, most of you are already superstars. You need Excel. You need to allow your computer to run those macros. You probably are best to not use Live or SharePoint or other ways of saving the file. Just save it to your PC until you're ready to save it up to the cloud, and then everything should work. Google Earth Pro for desktop. And you don't need to write the link down, but you need to have Google Earth on your PC in order for us to reference the libraries. And then you're going to validate the data. We've got a couple of validation tools that we suggest. And we then have a stable URL. That's our goal. And Evan, let's go for it. You're a superstar in many ways. Do you have a question or a comment you would like to share? Do you want to unmute?
Oh, yeah, thank you. This is Evan Siroki. I'm with the Cal RTAP program in California. So it's more specific for any agencies from California. We offer some extensive GTFS publishing and creation services as well. And so I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat a link to some of these resources, and we can try to help you all get set up with some things. And we have different services available if your trans agency is a 5311 subrecipient too. Thanks.
Fantastic, Evan. There may be other states, Alaska, I don't know, Hawaii, somebody else may have similar kinds of support, but probably not as good as what you'll get from California. And so while Evan can help you when you're in California, maybe you want to move. I'm just joking. All right. Our builder can be downloaded from our website. You go to the support page and you click on download the builder. You're going to get a guidebook and the Excel file itself. What is GTFS? I'm quite sure all of you are way beyond this, but for someone who isn't, what is GTFS? It's a data dictionary with a series of these files that we have over here. Here are two examples, one of the stops tab or the stops text file with latitude, longitude, and here's the other with the stop times that say, gee, we're arriving and departing at different times along the way. These are the stops in stop order. And what is the stop ID? And Shonda was smart enough to just say, I'm going to use 1 through 10 to number my stops. Let's go back into Mentimeter for a moment here and go to the next question and answer for all of us. Am I in presenter mode? What do you know about shapes before we start? Can you see what I'm seeing?
Yeah, the what I know about shapes slide.
Yes.
Yep. Got it.
Anybody? Is it taking a moment to get back to your Mentimeter? You can run this off your phone, menti.com, and we can read you that code. Beautiful. Thank you all. Okay. A couple of us are in the sounds complicated category. Somebody was willing to take, I learned it all in kindergarten, right? Wasn't that what we were told once? Everything I know, I learned in kindergarten. Okay, fantastic. So we're here to learn a little bit. It snaps to the roads, probably a nice answer to have. So thank you for that. And we'll move on. But some people are saying you need a mapping professional. And you are mapping professionals in the room. So we would love to honor you for what you can do to support us here. And many cities and tribes do go and work very closely with their GIS department. So, hey, GIS department, we have a shape that's snapping straight line between the stops. What do I do about it? So without shapes, a rider might see this. Are they going to not ride the bus? I'm not sure that that's the problem for not riding the bus, that they can't see that the blue line is on the road line. However, if your policy board or if someone else looks on your display of a trip plan and sees straight lines and they go, that's driving through my aunt's house or my cousin's building, are you sure we don't snap to the road? We're going to solve that today. So this is what happens without shapes. And we're also sharing the goal, the intention of all of our work, which will build a national transit map. When I show it as a national map, you don't see very much happening because it's so big. I mean, you see a lot happening, you just can't zoom in at any precision. So I snapshotted an example of someone had some shapes, they didn't have all shapes, and we really want to make the job for the National Transit Map 100% easy for them. And so these straight lines were just missing their shape. And today's an example of where we can fix that. the Bureau of Transportation Statistics, you'll come back to this slide deck and say, I want to learn more about National Transit Map by generating your file, creating a permanent link, a permalink to your file. It will go on that National Transit Map when you have your shapes. So that's an important understanding. And my comment over here is that if you have a GTFS, because all of this wouldn't be this far along without it, but you don't publish it, the writer is trying to plan a trip from here to there and they see nothing because we haven't yet published our GTFS. That's going to be another webinar, but we want to inspire you to say you don't have to wait for that webinar in order to move forward. So today's training, a lot of steps. This is how we do it with these free tools for you. They gain your skills in some areas. So we're going to step into that. And what we have for you is many guides, but one guide related to our creation of shapes is that you can follow step by step what I'm doing and come back to these pictures and say, I need to slow it way down and look at it page by page. So let's visualize that there was a schedule for Rusk County, and I now need to come into my Google Drive, and I want to create a list of bus stops. You're watching me do this in real time. I'm going to create a new list of bus stops. And the way I'm going to do that is File, and I'm going to import from the Rusk County file that I have the stops information. So there's other ways to get there. If you already have your Excel open, you can copy paste into the Google Sheet. But if you're working with a text file, import the file. You could say, hey, you're smart AI computer, figure this out. Or you could say, hey, I know this is already comma delimited. So either way, we should be able to get a text file, converted into a Google Sheet. Now, I'm kind of lazy sometimes. I don't always rename it because I'm only stopping here to grab this information. So in order to go to my next step, I want to create a map. Again, it was just a couple of clicks. I'm already here ready to create a new map. And again, I'm lazy. I'm going, well, I should put RCTC so I know I'm at least in Wisconsin. And I want to import. I don't have to think too hard. I just created a recent file. If I didn't name it and it was unnamed, it would come up for me as that most recent file. And now I have to just snap my latitude and snap my longitude, say okay to that, and give it a name. Anybody having any heart failure, Al, that you know of so far? Are we good?
Yep. No, Evan posted some information in the chat, but we're so far
rolling.
No questions.
Okay. We're going to go back and do this again with you at a slightly slower pace, but you're understanding that we needed to map our stops in order to start snapping them together. Now, I find I need to look at the base map that's an aerial photo. I want to see a little more information than the flat map that it defaults to. So I highly recommend you follow that instruction down here at base map. And let's glance at this bus stop. It's over here by the library. I think they tell us that it's on the lower lot. It kind of looks like there's a parking lot here. I don't see a problem with it. My comment to you is sometimes, and Shonda, I'm not changing your data. This is a copy of it for me. Sometimes I see bus stops here. Sometimes I see bus stops at the library, in the bathroom, in the community room, whatever. I will not know where to stand for that bus. That is much too vague. It's not going to be helpful. And we're not saying we stop at the library. We're saying we stop at the lower lot, walk through this little path, and we will pick you up here. This is where the driver is going to look for us. So let's say we were on the east side of this community convenience store. Well, it's clear that again, I'm not changing your data. I'm just saying, what if the east side meant at the road? I would want to know to stand here because the driver may be coming into the parking lot, but I'm standing over here being told that's where I should stand. So maybe I want to be more precise, take a few minutes when importing this data and go, you know, they created those bus stops 2 to 5 years ago. We have more precision now on the map. I'm going to tune this up and modify where that stop is. So if I'm going to copy paste a little bit of data, 1 or 2 data points back into my Excel workbook, I can do that. We also have tools to take the entire data set of these stops and import them back into the Excel workbook. Today, that's not our focus. Very thankfully, what we have are the stops in stop order. So if you don't have them in order, you're going to do it in stop order when you next click on Add Directions. So we're using the tool within my maps to snap this to the road. Well, it thought I really wanted to start at Christ because that's where I was and it was trying to be helpful. So we're now going to type in the apartments and then we're going to go to Memorial Park. So you're going to watch me do 10 points along the line here. And are you seeing that I don't have to type the whole name? I just have to say a little bit of what I know the name to be because I'm picking it from this pick list. And that's going to save us a fair amount of time, and it wouldn't have been available if we didn't have our maps on the list included in this data set. So can you add more stops? Absolutely. Do you need to mark every pin on this list? No. If your bus stop is traveling along a very straight road, you're not needing to mark every pin because the only road it's going to pass in front of is in front of those bus stops. And there is a bit of a limitation in this free tool that you can do up to 10 points. And if you go beyond 10, it won't accept it. It goes I through J. So our suggestion there is you might end up having to do 2 groups of 10 and then snap them together and create one shape from the 2 portions. Now,
Yep, we have a question that is timely because you're on the maps right now.
yes.
From Florida, which map is most precise, Google Maps or the Earth, Google Earth thing?
I mean, I probably want to have Google answer precision. It's for this, it's not going to matter because I'm going to say this one is probably brought up to date a little more frequently. It's saying map data from 2025, and
Okay.
we're going to jump into Google Earth in a little while, but you're going to use Google Earth when you're snapping to the middle of the road, and this is already doing that for you. It already knows where the road is. So let's revisit that question if we think
that sounds good.
we need to
And
be.
and Evan, just while I'm on, real quick, he posted that they recommend all actively used transit stops must be mapped to within 25 feet of the exact boarding position for pedestrians. So just as a point of reference.
So hear ye. Evan is exactly right. We do not just want to stop. We want it near that pole, at that bench, near the shelter, within a short tolerance, 2 versions of me or you. Near is what we want. So let's say we have a route here and we realize that coming in and out along this way isn't exactly what we want to do. So we can pick up this line and be a little more precise. Did anybody see what I was doing there in terms of making sure that does it go in and out the same way? It might, but maybe it comes out that road instead. Or it snaps around a different way to get to that bus stop on that proper side of the street. So we're looking at side of the road where we're passing in front of, and we're making sure that that driver is opening their door on the right side. So I may not go in right now and correct every instance of how it's going to come in and out along the road, but this will take you all of a couple of minutes. You know, I guess I'm not sure which way we would want to go here. There could be a one-way road. Sometimes that that affects it, but you have the local knowledge. I'm giving you the toolkit to get there. Now, I noticed, because I only had my 10 pins, that I need to go from I back to the start, which is my J. You know, the bus has to come back to the beginning to start its next loop. And on its way back, we have to come up to this market. And instead of having to do 2 groups of 10, I'm just going to pick up this line and say, let me go into that market and pick that rider up. So I have now created the shape for this entire network of 10 stops. 11 is our return to beginning. And we're going to create this and put it into our Excel workbook for Rusk Transit. So more or less, are people following along here? That we had to create a map. We snapped to the road. This next step is, we can rename this one, but we only have one. So it's up to you to spend the time to rename this layer if it's going to be your inbound and your outbound, or your summer and your winter, or whatever versions you have. But the reason we need a name is that we want to export the file that's related to these driving directions that we just drew. So we export it, we download it, boom, and we want to put it into our folder for this agency, and it just hangs out there for a moment. We literally are going to say hi to this file in Google Earth for just a second. You'll see what happens when we load the file. It's loading it for me. I didn't have Google Earth open. It knows that it's a KML file and that I want to publish it. So come on, show it to me. I think it will do it. Well, let's just try it again. Recent download history. Let's find this file. Come out. And reload it. Yes. I'm not seeing anything. I'm sure you're not either, but we actually don't even need, you would see some pins on the map, but what we can do is just copy this. I know you're going to have to do a little bit of a trust me. We'll come back and look at this one more time, but we've rendered our same information in Google Earth, because Google Earth was how we originally wrote the conversation between Excel. My maps came in later. So we're just going to come here to our Shapes tab. We're in the Shapes tab, and we're going to double click, and we're going to say number 7, which is paste, and we're going to call it city. We could name it 1, we could name it something else, but we have now named the shape associated with this route. And when I am building my Excel workbook, the shape ID is what gets filled in here for each of the trips that follow that path. And this is the path that it's going to follow. So let's go over to trips, because the next step that we want to do is test that this shape actually matches the stops in stop order. In theory, we know it does, but we want to see how the shape ID matches. So we run a test by double clicking, and we say okay to that. And it brings us into our stops tab. And it's not just that Shonda did an excellent job of mapping, it's that when we're saying go from here to here to here to here, it's saying that line is near the route that we've created. So I'm going to clear the decks on temporary places. And maybe I want to come in again. This map is just not making me happy because I'm seeing nothing there. So we're going to go into Google Earth again, in case you ever need to get into your Google Earth, just pop it into the search bar there and let it load properly. We might have rushed it a little bit today. So I'm going to paste. And when we paste this file, if I double click, I don't have to use any of the, I'm pointing to this navigation, that's floating navigation. Sometimes this stuff disappears on you and whoopsie, like that's a lot going on here. Well, this is your shapes line. When we look at the points on the line, the stops that we're going to go to, they're easy to find until we add in every wiggle, which is what creates the shape line. So let's say we wanted to double check how did we get in and out of stop number 5. And stop number 5 is our apartments. And if we needed to drive around the parking lot more efficiently, we could come in here and edit this line. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time editing here, but I'd like to show you how we would do that. And so if you didn't notice, when things are rolled up in Google Earth, the triangle points one way toward the globe. When you open it by clicking on it, you can see a bunch of attributes and data and things inside of it. And if we right click on the line, which is the 3 dots, I now can say, I think this line is going to come in from here and allow me to pick up Mrs. Smith at her door. And maybe I even come around this little loopy thing if I need to. And I'm going to get rid of, with a delete key, a few of these extras that I don't need. Yes, I know what I'm doing, but if you practice, and we're going to have, maybe Nicole or someone else say, in the beginning, it wasn't that easy, but over time, if I play with it a little bit, it's not impossible to understand how to make edits, maybe without calling your GIS professional or calling your GIS professional saying, this is exactly what I need to do, please help me. And there may be other tools that they want to use to do that. So how do we now take this information, this purple line, and bring it back into Excel? Well, what a surprise. You saw me do it very quickly and he had to put in the trust category. We selected the globe and we said copy, and we came over to our Excel workbook and we said shapes, and we were in a blank cell. So we're going to do that again. We're going to go down to a place on this workbook, double click. It's a number 7. If you can't read it, it's saying, help me paste this file for me right here. Now, it's always going to default to KML line. You're not going to use that or you'll never know what line you're working on. And because I kept this all lowercase and easy, I'm replacing the line that I had named shapes. And that little pop-up said, there's no undo key. And that's good because we want the line to improve as we go forward and not try to keep old versions and know which version we're looking at. If you have more than one version, GTFS is going to look at the top version, not your newer one, because it doesn't know that exists. It's going to choose it right away at the top. Al, I'm out of breath here. Can you tell me if there are any questions that brought us to our data and a chance to examine the data by testing it in Google Earth that
There's
we could answer?
no questions in the chat, but maybe we can take them, excuse me, take a minute. And if people have questions, you raise your hand. You're welcome to turn your camera on and ask a question to Marcy. And wait a minute. And a reminder too, like Marcy's going through it rather quickly now, but the second part of this virtual workshop, it's really sort of this. It's no longer Marcy with the demo; it's hands-on and working with you in your shapes. So, but all right, we'll see. No questions. You have a chance to catch your breath, Marcy, and then yeah, I will keep an eye on the chat though.
All right. We're not ending the presentation, but we want you to know that we took each of those steps that you've seen and we put them in this slide deck so that you could slow down and go, oh, that's right. I forgot the 3-dot thing. It's over there under the export the KML. So just see that this guide, the other guide, playing with it, having some fun with it will allow you to create a shape. And in this screen, I'm just deleting the old shape that was there, the one that you didn't get to see for that 30 seconds. And the whole idea of all the pins on there, how to turn them on and off, edit in Google Earth, update. So that's the process. You have to slow it down to do it at your pace and learn it. But when you're modifying and working on shapes, I guess I could show this more in real time. I'd like to show you that Google Earth has a center line. Now, how do I know that? Well, because I've been staring at it a lot. So down here in, I want this layer to come up. The layers that are on the map allow you to see whether this is an arterial, a highway, a this or that, but it gives you a white line. And if I turn that off, I won't know where the center line is. So one of the suggestions in building an accurate shape file is occasionally, I don't know that Russ County has a lot of sidewalks right now in this neighborhood, but here they are. I've seen some people draw their shape line to that white sidewalk, thinking that was the center line. It's not. If we turn on the roads layer, I'm now seeing a white line, and where there was a higher order road, it turned yellow. Well, these road lines are being snapped in my maps, so you don't have to draw the center of them, but that's a superstar and important category if you'd like your shapes to better render on the map. So that was one suggestion that we have. A next suggestion is to not create a zigzag. Well, when we're mapping this line, there's a point and then there's a stop. And if we put that a little too far over, so we'll go back in here, if our point along the line, I'm trying to find one where we're not going in and out of a parking lot. So here, we're looking at some precision here, and we're going to open up at the top with this triangle and edit this line. And when we're editing this line at the shape, 3 dots, there's a point that's going to be along this line at the stop. If I put it beyond the stop and the computer rendering program needs to come in and connect this to this, it's going to zigzag back. Is that going to cause a rider to not ride your bus? No. We're just looking at ways to be a little more effective in displaying this. So we're going to put our points along the line ahead of the stop. So actually, in this case, they may be coming around this way. So this is the ahead and that would be after. Again, people with your local knowledge on what's going on will more accurately be able to display before and after a stop in the direction of travel. So that's what we were talking about with zigzags, and we'd like to reduce that kind of confusion there. Our next question or comment is that the bus stop is on the correct side of the road as you're traveling that loop. So I've tried to mention that before, and I want to be certain you're thinking about not putting that line going the other way when the bus rider's on one side of the road. And I'm not certain, but I think we had a ferry system sign up for today's session, and you won't be able to use that nifty driving directions snap to, because we don't have that available on all of our waterways. So you're going to draw the line, and we'll be more than happy to help you. It's within my maps that you draw a line, and you also render that as a KML. So this is how we make it a little better. And I'm here for anybody else. Evan has decades of experience with shapes and data, so if you or anyone on your team, Evan, want to suggest anything more about shapes that we could add to our list, I'd be thrilled. And you might have stepped away. You were not on target to be my co-presenter, but I appreciate your feedback when you do.
Yeah, I would sort of recommend if the trans agency does have access to a vendor or a software tool, typically the software tool is going to be able to generate the shapes. And that is definitely the case with the Remix tool that we have available for 5311 recipients in California.
Game on. Absolutely. This is for those of you who haven't had someone fund your Remix or other tools. And there are many tools, as we've mentioned. Okay. So
one comment too, Marcy,
yes.
If you have office hours and so, in the second half of today's workshop, we're going to be here to kind of work through this, but just wanted to remind people that Marcy's here with office hours if there's questions and can really walk you through the process as well. So in addition, there's a number of resources, this presentation and the slide deck that kind of accompanies the live demo will be posted online today or tomorrow within the next couple of days.
So we finish our work, we need to run a validation tool. We're human. Maybe for California, they've got so many fancy tools, they don't make as many mistakes, but we could type in city with a big I instead of a little I, and the data's not going to match. And we run it through a validation tool. And we're going to give you two versions. It's like going to the doctor. You can have, more than one opinion here. And so mobility data, super amazing for data inconsistencies within its data set. And we need it. You're definitely going to run that. And what we notice with this other tool, and here's an example. Shonda, for this particular route, runs on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Well, we said, hey, throw in all your holidays when you don't run. What this little warning down here is telling us is you're advising us that in your GTFS data that you have no service on Christmas Eve. Well, that isn't a Wednesday or a Saturday. And so this Mechatran toolkit allows you to look through that data in a slightly different lens and take out the noise that would be, gee, we just made a typo. We really don't run that day. It's not a Wednesday or a Saturday. So that's available to you as a resource. It's methods for validating your data set to make sure that they are accurate. Honestly, here it didn't say anything about the inconsistency on holiday. So again, are riders harmed? No, not really. But what sometimes happens when I'm looking through this data because it's telling me that something's not quite right, then the light bulb comes on here and I go, oh, that's right. We have another holiday or we have a different season of the year when we run different kinds of service. And I might need to clean this up so that I don't represent a year's worth of service with only half a year's worth of data and extend it into the future. So utilize each of these tools as a go get them. We can do this rather than, oh, I failed. There was something identified on this list. We're all human, and this is a chance for tools to help us be smarter humans. So that's validating the file. Now, this is where we have a lot of opportunity to do better. I'm going to call it a permalink. I don't know why. It sounds a little more fun than a stable link because nobody understood what stable was. But what we need is a way for your data to live on the internet somewhere, and you keep it up to date all the time, but the link that goes to that file stays the same. You can host it at your city, transit agency, county, MPO, whatever website. You can do that. We are happy for you to do that. But you need to be sure that if you update the data, the link doesn't change. So I probably should have a quiz about this, because if people don't understand it, they're going to frustrate NTD. They're going to be spending more time than they need to. So the answer we offer, because it's available, is that National RTAP will host the file. You can update it as often as you want, but just keep that file name the same, and the link will never change. So did that just sound like a bunch of chatter, or do some people nod their heads going, wow, now I understand what she's talking about? Maybe you didn't think about it for today. You were only in your mind for shapes. But here's an example for TranGo, where they put on their website, GTFS data found here. It doesn't have to be a big fancy page, but behind this link is a link to National RTAP, where they upload in a secure way their data file. And before they ran it and put it onto their website, they ran it through this validator so that we're sure there's no data inconsistencies going forward. So Al, maybe there are some questions, or Evan might have a suggestion on how to get that permalink working, because some of us have spent a lot of time on something that should maybe be a lot less time.
Yeah, I am actually just pasting in the chat a link to website builder, and it looks like Evan. So that's take a look at that, and again, there's we offer technical support. RTAP offers technical support for that if you want to get started developing your own website. But that's there if you want to build your actual agency website. But it's also there to host the files. You know, if you and then Evan posted too that it looks like CalITP also offers hosting, but they recommend the transit agency host their GTFS on their own website. And so, yeah.
Okay. No wrong answer here, except if the link changes, because you're telling NTD to build their national map from a link. And they don't want to know that this was April's data, May's data, June's data, August data. No, you have one link that tells them at any time when I go to that link, the file is accurate. And that's how we can have trip planners not be calling you up every day saying, did you move that bus stop last week? We want this link to represent the moved bus stop, the times that have changed, in a stable place, so nobody's wasting their time saying the data looks expired. Where's the newest data file that you have? So, and then National RTAP below the trees here has an upload to GTFS link where you come in, log in, and you're not in Procurement Pro, but you're over here at GTFS Builder. And I have now asked that we beg you to agree before you upload that you're going to validate this file, and you're going to have to click and assure us that you did something to make sure this data is internally consistent. And when you get to the next page, you're going to upload your file by choosing it from your computer. And it's going to be a zipped file of those text files. That's what a GTFS is. It's this group of data zipped together as a compressed file, and we might decide to name it RCTC Wisconsin GTFS. No date, no fanciness, just who I am, maybe what state I'm located in, and that it's my GTFS zipped file. And look how tiny this file is. It doesn't have to be big, but it powers a lot. So that's what we're uploading to create the link. Al, do you think it would be helpful for me to choose the file and make a link out of it?
Sure. Yeah, we can take a minute you already have it made, so it just takes a second. And incidentally, too, the RTAP website is made using Website Builder, so it's really a robust, tool for making web pages.
Uploaded successfully, and now this file could be used. It's not going to be used. It's not the real deal for Rusk County, but this file link could be used for your NTD, for publishing at any of the trip planners, for emailing the trip planners if you'd like them to publish your data or work with Google or Apple or whoever. So this is the idea of where's your data? This is the link that manages that. So
And then one, I think you mentioned this, Marcy, but so if it's named the same, it overwrites the previous. And so making sure that's, that's important.
please reiterate that as often as we can, because that's where we seem to be confused. I see a lot of files with a date, because yes, I might want to know what date it was, but there's going to be one final version that becomes your master, and that master stays the same in the data files. So in our slide show, I think I had maybe one other comment, which was to answer some of the questions that came in when we said, hey, does anybody want to ask us anything about shapes or GTFS? So one person, oh, it's going to be 2025. You don't have to wait a year for that. We're going to have a next webinar on the 5th of November, and we're going to talk about data quality and publishing your file and hosting. For those of you who'd like to sign up with Google, there's a link here where you get the process started. And again, back to that hosting piece, because how do I publish? You have to be able to host. So it's a bit of a circular process, but that answers that question. And then I don't know if they're on the call, but somebody said, well, how do I know what the best mapping tool is? So I don't know if that was related to the first question earlier today. Is Google Earth better than my maps? But the other mapping might be trip planning. And our vote to you is that all these different channels, Rome to Rio, Transit App, Move It, City Mapper, they are all using the same data set. They're costing you $0 additional dollars to publish, so that the writer that you know who has a phone and they decide Bing Maps is their trip planner or Apple Maps is their trip planner, they can now get the file where they want it, rather than, oh, I better download that other app because that's the only way that I can find out about your county's information. So we're answering the questions that we had there. Al, do you want to share a little bit more on upcoming
Sure.
events?
Sure, I can, Marcy already mentioned the webinar on data quality. That's November 5th. And here are just a couple of resource building partnerships. We're hosting that, actually that's tomorrow. And so there's a link there, and it's on the RTAP calendar. Website builder support, because we did talk about that a fair amount today. We do have office hours for that too, if you're interested in exploring that tool. And the big one here is our conference in our conference in December in Austin, Texas. And we hope that we'd love to see all of you there. And Marcy, we'll have a number of workshops from the cost allocation calculator to GTFS builder to Procurement Pro to Ride Sheet, and among other great panels throughout the conference. I'd love to see you there. If you have any questions about it, please reach out. But that's that information is available for that on our website. So, but that's in December.
I'll add that our goal this year is to really be personal on each of these technical tools at your pace, your questions. So send the right person, as much as we'd love all the managers to be there, send someone, if you can, that might want to learn about the nitty gritty. And we have Angela on this call. She sat with me for hours working on GTFS because she inherited a bit of a jumble on data that was created through the years, different versions of different routes, all layered on top of each other. And we were like literally trying to dig through. But we sat there for quite a while going, well, maybe the bus stop is there, maybe it's not. And we would look at Street View and try some different tools or try to remember if we saw anybody standing there waiting for the bus. But this conference is our technical conference, and we have an opportunity, and we're going to have hours open, right, Al? So that
yeah. So for GTFS Builder, for Ride Sheet, for Procurement Pro, for Website Builder, we'll have these workshops. But then then we'll also have a calendar to book one-on-one technical assistance support throughout the conference. And so Marcy's right. We're really trying to personalize these and really sort of meet your needs and to really use these tools. So yeah, it'll be a busy and great few days. So.
Well, I think our next slide just tells you, oh, I've got another Mentimeter. Let me go open that up. Let's see what we have there. 1 second. Oh,
And then
is,
once, maybe
ahead.
real quick, for the people that want to stick around for the second half, is there anything that they should be getting ready or have on their computer or questions or to prep for that? We can let them know.
Yay, I'm game. I can't tell you how many times I call in to try to help an agency and they're like, triennial review is around the corner. So I can appreciate that you've got to get through that in order to get to the next step. But maybe we have one or so folks saying pinky promise that they're going to give this a try and that they're not afraid to work on this data on your own or with me, and that's fine too. Some people are still in the not sure category. So we didn't win you over quite yet, but that's all right. And those of you who want to hire, more power to you. At least you understand what you're asking them to do. And then your better role may actually be doing more of the testing of the trip plans, of the data files, staring at it in whatever tools you're given so that you can say, that's right, we moved that bus stop. And now once we tune the data up, that bus stop will be in its right place and that rider won't be confused. Okay, I think we've managed that one enough. Let's add my most favorite slide. You get to word cloud, throw a few words here on what you learned today, just free form. You can be a poet, a rapper, or just a word or two and share with us what you felt. And, we'll continue the webinar, but we want to be sure, or the meeting today, that you get a chance to share any thoughts.
And there is actually an official QR code too, after we do this, that we use to track our events and webinars to make sure we're really delivering you meeting your needs. So after this, let's scroll to the last slide then too, Marcy.
Thank you, someone, for saying something here. Y'all might be too tired for this, and I get it. So, oh, did I pay you for that? That was very kind. All right, dear friends. Some of you I have worked with kind of nights and weekends, and it's been a joy to bring you to a place where you can say, this isn't that big of a deal. So, I'm hoping it can be a little bit fun. Hey, FTA, you're giving us something fun to do. I think they want to hear that.
That's great. Well, let's flip to because we'll have I think a core group after. Let's flip to I just want to make sure we flash the QR code so people have a chance to.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, thank you all for humoring me in the world of Mentimeter and a little engagement there where you can. And Al is correct. We need to share this.
Yes, there you go. And so this takes a few minutes. There's just a handful of questions. I think 4 or 5 questions. But
and do they get this emailed to them as well if they sort of aren't in a QR kind of mode right now?
Well, that's a good question. We can send an email, a follow-up email. Otherwise they wouldn't know.
Okay. Do help us out when FTA says,
actually,
did anybody show up? We'd like to be sure we can count you in the that we effectively gave you a chance to learn what you want to learn. So, Al, you can't see whether questions are getting answered right now on.
No.
Yeah.
And okay. I should have actually pulled I think it'll take me a minute to do it, but there is a link to that, not just the QR code. I don't have that handy though.
Okay. Well,
so
let's not worry about it.
It'd take a little bit of time to pull that out.
Okay. We're starting to lose a few people. We all know you have a busy day. As Al said at the beginning, we appreciate that you took time to sit with us. I don't know whether show of hands is just going to be people staying on the call, Al, for a little bit longer, and
Yeah,
we'll
I think
go
we
through
can.
it again.
Yeah, I think we can, thank you everybody for attending. If you have any last minute questions, please ask them but otherwise please stay and Marcy's going to kind of review this again or answer specific questions in more detail. So, and feel free, it's a small crowd. I think most everyone kind of knows people here through this work. Turn your camera on if you want to ask any questions. But we'll be here to offer that additional support for the next half hour.
So I just saw a message from Toya. She and I have worked together. She